The Virginia Cavaliers headed to Hard Rock Stadium after being handily defeated in their previous 2 games to open ACC play. For the Miami Hurricanes, they started the season 2-2, with this game being their conference opener. The Hurricanes were without electric quarterback De'Aaron King and freshman Jake Garcia. Redshirt freshman Tyler Van Dyke would take full control after splitting time with Garcia against Central Connecticut State. The Hoos welcomed back running back Wayne Taulupapa, who was inactive against Wake Forest due to a concussion. He would start hot, as he would find space for a 27-yard rush and cap the drive off with a rushing touchdown. The UVA defense, which has been ineffective as of late, started by forcing 2 3-and-outs, and after an impressive punt from Jacob Finn, they were able to stuff the run for a safety. The Cavalier defense brought different pass rushing schemes to confuse Van Dyke. They were bringing between 3 and 5-man rushes on a consistent basis. Van Dyke would later find some confidence as he would hit wide receiver Charleston Rambo for 36 yards. A few plays later, running back Cameron Harris would punch in the Miami score. Quarterback Brennan Armstrong and wide receiver Billy Kemp would expose the Miami soft coverage as they would consistently connect on underneath routes. Running back Mike Collins would score off a 25-yard rush after impressive blocking from the offensive line and wide receiver Rashawn Henry. The Hoos would take a 16-7 lead into the half. UVA would open the second half with a field goal by kicker Brendan Farrell that was set up by a 34-yard run by football player Keaton Thompson. However, an Armstrong interception would allow the Hurricanes to start in the red zone, and Van Dyke would throw an over-the-shoulder pass to wide receiver Mike Harley for 6. The UVA offense would take the air out of the stadium when a Miami defender popped the ball up, which would land on wide receiver Dontavian Wicks' back and fall right into his hands in what is being called a contender for Catch of the Year to give the Hoos a 27-14 lead. Miami would keep the ball game close after miscommunication by the Cavalier defense that allowed Cameron Harris to run freely for a 57-yard touchdown. On the ensuing UVA drive, Farrell would make another field goal. The Hoos defense would again have some confusion as Van Dyke would complete a 45-yard pass to wide receiver Xavier Restrepo. Van Dyke would end the drive as he would evade pressure and run to the open field in front of him for a touchdown. Miami's defense kept the Hurricanes within striking distance, and the offense was now clicking. The game came down to a 33-yard field goal for freshman Andres Borregales, who had doinked the kick off the crossbar, and the Hoos would survive for a 30-28 win. Armstrong would finish with 268 passing yards, a touchdown, and 1 interception. It was an unusual game for Armstrong considering the massive stat lines he has posted in previous games, but it resulted in an important win. Billy Kemp finished the game with 9 catches and 81 yards, and Keaton Thompson hauled in his 4 receptions at 55 yards in the first quarter, but added 47 rushing yards. Taulupapa compiled 62 yards on the ground, and he made a couple of key blocks that resulted in big plays, such as Armstrong's crucial 14-yard run. The offensive line had an up-and-down day, as they gave up 3 sacks and 8 tackles for loss, but they were vital to the 181 rushing yards and 449 total yards. Despite the Miami comeback, the UVA defense looked better. The defense forced 6 3-and-outs, 8 punts, and a safety. Each defensive group had success early. The defensive front, led by senior defensive end Mandy Alonso, did well getting pressure to Van Dyke. The linebacking core were there to help stop the run. Noah Taylor and Nick Jackson finished with 6 and 5 tackles respectively. The secondary stayed with their receiving assignments to cause the young quarterback to panic. Also, Joey Blunt was able to come up and stuff the rush and short passing game for minimal gains, resulting in 8 tackles. They became vulnerable in the second half when Van Dyke gained his composure. The Hurricanes were able to claw their way back into the game thanks to 278 yards after the break. The Hoos gave up big plays through the air and ground games because of miscommunications and coverage errors. It was a tale of 2 halves, but UVA will have a longer week to clean up their mishaps. The Cavaliers will search for their second conference win as they will travel to Cardinal Stadium to take on the Louisville Cardinals on October 9th.